us, even as teachers who have a lot of experience even politically in Kenya, and they're promised 20% of affordable housing and they go screaming in a frenzy. What does that say about Kenyans?
You know, the thing is, I like what my colleagues are saying. The issue is, when you look at the new constitution, the new constitution has really removed a lot of powers from the president to other institutions. For example, the budget-making process has been moved to the House. It's not the old days when the president would say, implement this, and it just is implemented. First of all, there is need for everything for public participation. That if you are proposing a program or a project, there must be public participation. And once that happens, then it comes to Parliament for processing, and then you get it into the budget. But you see what is happening, and I think Kenyans still take this matter very seriously. Some of these presidential pronouncements are the things which are leading us to continue borrowing, both domestically and externally, without any plan. Because, you know, this government came to power and promised Kenyans that we will not borrow anymore. In 3 years, they have borrowed 3 trillion. So on average, every year they are borrowing $1 trillion. And why that borrowing? Because what happens is the president goes out there, makes pronouncements that we are going to do this road, which is worth 1 billion shillings, another road here, and that road has not been factored into any plan. So since these are presidential pronouncements, and instead of Kenyans saying this is not what we have agreed in our constitution, that it cannot be funded, then the technocrats in the ministries go out of their way to get this money to implement. And that's why I'm telling you, Fred, if you look at the discussion around Article 223, which allows supplementary budget, where the government can spend and come to Parliament for regularization, it has been abused to the extent you can't imagine. You see even roads are being funded from that article. What it is very clear that it must be for emergencies or things which were left out of the budget but of national interest. So Kenyans might take this very rightly, and when I see my teachers clubbing after getting these houses, I say hallelujah. But at the end of the day, the question is, where are we going to get the resources to finance some of these things? As Kira says, most of the items, most of the pledges this government gave out, their pledges or promises were not costed. So nobody took time to cost how much it takes to implement universal health care. As a result of that, what happens is you find what they are collecting in terms of revenue and the expected expenditure, there's a deficit. Anytime you have a deficit, you have only 2 options. Either you borrow to meet the deficit, or you scale down the activity so that you come to where your revenue is.
All right.
And that's why you see we are facing a lot of challenges. So what I'm saying is, even Kenyans, even as we club when the president promises these things, we need to think behind these statements. What is the implication of these statements? Could it be triggering more borrowing? Which means we are going to overburden our future generations. And I get very concerned. Actually, anytime I see these things, I say, I pity our young people. Because on a serious note, at the end of the day, it is them who will be paying these loans. When Makali and Nikir was here, more likely will be long dead in our graves. It is them who will be struggling to pay this. So I think time has come when we must derogate seriously some of these presidential directives, because they're not good for the country.
And even if we continue focusing on the Kenyans and our psyche, today, incidentally, it's World International Day of Democracy, and I'm told we need to go on a break. I'll come back to examine this because we seem to have gotten back to an obsession with the center. Everyone is trooping to State House. We'll be examining that after the break. You're watching Morning Cafe. Let's take a short break.